I'm Howie Lim. This is Money Hacks by the Business Times. I get that some people are uncomfortable using credit cards. Spending money they don't have is what they feel. But the convenience of credit cards can't be denied. Credit cards are more than just a payment tool or debt trap, as some feel. They can be a gateway to valuable rewards when used strategically. There it is. When used strategically. Welcome to Money Hacks, a podcast series by the Business Times, where we explore useful financial tips to help you on your money managing and wealth growing journey. I'm Howie Lim. And if you have feedback or an idea for a podcast episode, do get in touch. btpodcasts@sph.com.sg. Joining us today, Audrey Yap. She's a content creator. It used to be I Just Try lah. Now it's Lobang Sis. Audrey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Credit cards is something that you're quite passionate about. You write about it a lot. Tell us how to choose the right cards. Is there such a word? Right card, right cards?
Well, to choose the right credit card, I think most people want to start with tracking their monthly expenses to understand where their money goes to, the kind of categories that they spend on, identify their top spending categories, decide whether they want miles or cashback. Then you want to find cards that align with your spending patterns and goals. You should also consider factors like earn rate, minimum spend requirements, sign-up bonuses, and all that stuff.
Give us an example. So categories like shopping, for instance, travel maybe. What about paying bills, and how do we sort of list out the categories for ourselves?
So usually, you have your town council bills or your MCST bills. You have your utilities. You have phone bills. You have transport like bus and MRT rides, taxis, groceries, travel, shopping. So those are big categories that most people will spend on. And so they want to find the credit card that suits their level of spending. How much do they actually spend every month on those?
But I don't want like 10 cards or whatever, Audrey.
Yeah, so you kind of have to weigh your options. If you don't want 10 cards, then you need to go for a general spending card, which means one card that can catch everything. But you might not get the best earn rate, and you have to be okay with that.
Why is it important to do this though? Categorize everything first in order to, maximize those rewards, cashback, miles, be it so on that you talked about?
Because if you choose the right cards for your own spending patterns, you can potentially save up to hundreds of dollars a year. And you can even earn miles that allow you to go on business class flights at a fraction of the cost. Some cards offer valuable perks like free limousine rides, free airport lounge passes. So if those are valuable to you, then you want to find cards that allow you to do that.
Before we try to assess a card's overall value, what if a person has inconsistent spending? As in, I only use the credit card when it's convenient, I happen to be out, everything else is, say, gyro or debit and so on. Or cash still even, I'm guilty as charged.
So based on my personal experience with credit cards, I've noticed that inconsistent spending affects cashback credit cards more. Because almost all cashback credit cards with a high earn rate always have a minimum spend requirement, or they even require you to have consistent spending over 3 months period, while others have subcategories that make it a little bit more difficult for you to earn the cashback. So for people who have to tackle inconsistent spending, what they want to do is to consider general spending cards with no minimum spending requirements, even though you might just get 2% cashback. But that's better than nothing, better than not even using a credit card. So that's my take on that.
With all of those things in mind then, Audrey, how do we assess a card's overall value? What are we looking at? There are loads of sites, obviously, that do the comparison for you, but how would we as individuals do that?
So the way I do it is, what is your preference of how you would spend? Do you usually go to places like hawker centers? Then maybe you just use cash. Right? If you were to go to malls or you were to shop online, you want to find cards that allow you to earn miles or cashback with your online shopping or with your mall spending. And you want to consider the earn rate, the minimum spend requirements, because usually high earn rates require you to have minimum monthly spend. to get that. And then you want to look at the sign-up bonuses. Are there good sign-up bonuses right now? What is the annual fee that they are charging? Is it worth you paying for the annual fee, or can you get a waiver on that?
Most cards do allow you to do that, yes?
Actually, only entry-level cards allow you to get an annual fee waiver. Usually higher end cards, they don't allow you to do that. So is it worth paying? For some people, it's actually worth paying, because when you pay for the annual fee, you get free unlimited lounge pass. So if they travel, they're business travelers, this might be something good for them.
So those welcome gifts, vouchers are something you should look out for. Still to come, how to avoid the credit card debt trap, and also how to make your spending work harder for you. More with Audrey Yap, who's a content creator, in a moment.
Lens on Singapore is now bigger and better. The same deep dive exploration of socioeconomic and geopolitical issues which impact our lives here in Singapore and the region is now a video podcast. If watching a conversation is your thing, join Claressa Monteiro in monthly conversations about things that matter. Subscribe to the BT Lens On playlist in the podcast tab of the Business Times YouTube channel and start watching today. BT Lens On Singapore, now available in audio and video.
And now, back to Money Hacks from the Business Times.
We're speaking to Audrey Yap, who's a content creator. She's also your lobang sis. It's all about maximizing your credit cards today. Okay, so we now have our slew of cards in front of us. How do we avoid the debt trap, Audrey? Because credit cards have that crippling interest rate, and now the advent of buy now, pay later as well.
I guess to avoid debts, once you receive your card, always start setting up automatic gyro payments for every single card. Even if it means to print out the form, to fill up the bank details, do it. And mail it out by snail mail. Don't rely on your memory to pay your balances on time and in full, because sometimes, life happens. Once gyro is set up, make sure that your bank account has sufficient amount to pay for your credit card bills, which leads me to my next point, which means that you will need to keep a budget and track your spending to avoid spending beyond your means. If you are unable to avoid overspending, then cut the credit card and just go for a debit card.
Why are we talking, right, Audrey?
And in the event that you really miss your credit card bill payment because you just forgot, once in a while, you can always get a fee waiver on your late payment fees and your interest charges and your finance charges. Usually, as long as you are a good payer, good and consistent payer, the bank will waive it.
For people who have cards already, maybe don't really know how to optimize them, how do we do that? How do we maximize these cards? And how many is optimal, actually? We already talked about how we don't want 10, yeah, Audrey?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing that each person needs to do is to read up on the card benefits, the requirements, the limitations of each card, so that you can use the right cards at the right time in the right way. And always get an annual fee waiver if you can. Look out for exclusive deals or promotions that banks offer. These banks, sometimes they give you additional discount or cashback on top of your credit card rewards. These are free money, just get it. And next, you also want to use even cashback platforms and miles platforms to pay for your purchases, to earn rewards on these platforms on top of your credit card rewards. The idea is to not spend more or unnecessarily, but it's when you spend, make it count. Make your spending work extra hard for you.
I feel as though the skill required to do all this might be a juggler or someone really good at mathematics or someone really organized. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think you need to have a certain level of discipline and a certain level of curiosity for you to want to actually maximize the card. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? Then maybe even follow blogs or Telegram channels that offer these bite-sized updates that can allow you to get quick information that you need to know at any point in time.
How much time do you think you spend?
Well, it's my kind of like my side hustle job. So I probably spend around 3 to 4 hours a day just looking at credit cards and stuff like that.
In the beginning, before you got established at all of this, how much time do you think you had to spend to get it all going?
Ooh, I probably had to analyze all my spending and all. Maybe I took about maybe a day or two. And then to find the right credit cards would take maybe one day or two, and then trying out those cards for a period of time and figuring out whether or not it actually suits my spending patterns. Because sometimes what you think suits you actually doesn't really suit you.
Yeah.
Like I thought that I could do a consistent monthly spending of 3 months. Oh boy, was I wrong. I actually prefer a card that could allow me to spend when I need to spend, not when I have to spend. Yeah.
Is that something that you still see people doing that's concerning?
Mostly, I think people have realized that some people just prefer convenience, and so they don't really even care about how much rewards they're getting, while others, they fully maximize the card like I do. And whichever direction they choose, I think it's fine as long as they are comfortable with whatever they are getting. I have friends coming up to me after 1 year and realizing that they have not been maximizing the card. But what can you do, right?
But it's never too late to
It's
start,
never too late to start, yeah.
I wish you had more time, Audrey. It's been really illuminating talking about credit cards. Audrey, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
And don't forget to send us an email if you have feedback or an episode idea. btpodcasts@sph.com.sg. I'm Howie Lim. This has been Money Hacks from the Business Times.
This is a podcast by the Business Times. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts. Or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.